My name is Ralph White. I am an alcoholic. Thank you, Kevin. Um, I've heard during the pandemic, and I've been out to a lot of meetings, and people will say, "Oh, so this is what you look like." I think I'd rather just stay as the guy on the tape that you guys have been listening to. Um, I'm grateful. You know what? Phil asked me to speak on 10 and 11 tonight, and I think uh, wherever we go tonight is probably going to be informed by a couple of recent happenings. I heard one of my favorite people earlier today, um, Derek H. And he's from my particular neck of the woods, and saw him when he was new. And one of my very best friends, we lost him, and he was a huge huge part of our recovery community here in Los Angeles. Uh, and he also was a big presence, in the recovery community throughout the world. And a lot of you know my brother Ronald Cartoon. And I was kind of thinking about Toon today when I was listening to Derek. And I was listening to Derek and I was getting so fired up, you guys, because I get that way. I was listening to Kevin, and Kevin was talking about um, he's been listening to tape since we've been on this platform. I've had the opportunity to see Kevin. I've had the opportunity. I saw Rodney pop up on here. There's a young brother, Deval. I've had the opportunity to meet some people and form some relationships, and I often share that I came here out of desperation and I've stayed here out of inspiration. And you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't, how I still get inspired when I'm with you guys. Way more than when I'm by myself. Um, Way more than when I'm my best self when I'm with you. You know how you hear people say, he don't walk like he talk. You know, I don't know who does. I talk like I like to walk. I talk like I would like to walk. And I walk better when I'm with you guys. And there are people who really do this deal. I came in October 1986. I was 33 years old, and I was at the end of the line. Thing about being at the end of the line, you don't know you at the end of the line, because I've been at the end of the line before. And nobody on here, every square that's got a sobriety date, we didn't know that was the end of the line till sometime later on, looking back when we tacked that date on and we kept that date. you know that's how we know. And I was at the end of the line, didn't know it. I was 33, and I had um, been pretty much taken through it. I'm a horror I'm an all-in guy in anything I do. So I go at it hard in the paint. I play hard, I work hard. um, that makes it easy for me, I think, in coming in recovery, to not be a half measure guy, because I'm not that by inclination. And so I got loaded for a long time, and me and my brothers were in the life together. In 85, I first came here and I got 89 days, and I relapsed on my 89th day, getting ready to have 90 days. And I stayed out for another, I guess it was about 11 months before I made it back here. And and so when I made it back here, I already was firmly entrenched in that first step, which is a conclusion I draw based on my experience. Alcohol had its way with me. And my first time coming, I came suspecting alcohol had its way with me. But what I really knew was I'm a smoker, and I knew cocaine had its way with me. And I had a problem with admitting I'm a real alcoholic. And that got solved when I was drinking a Long Island iced tea on day 89 with a friend of mine. And that experiment went so well that when I made it back to you guys, it has snuffed out the last flicker of hope that I could do this by myself. And I was really sweetly reasonable, you know. And so I came in here and was really clear that when I take one, I can't control when I'm gonna stop, and I can't stop myself from starting. And that first step has stayed with me for the whole 36 years I've been here, you guys. You know, I do my first step. I don't have to revisit it. I don't rewrite or I don't do it. The way I do the first step is somewhat like this. I'm Black and I suspect I'm gonna be that way. I'm alcoholic. I suspect I'm gonna be that way. Is that's in stone. I don't get up thinking about no, you know. So that cornerstone has been firmly fixed for me. And I tried everything I could to stop myself, and everything. Now, I didn't try anything before getting to you guys. I never wanted to stop. I didn't even think about that. But after coming here, then I got an understanding of that second step. And and I'm one that believes I suffer from an illness. And I believe, because of my experience, first, very begrudgingly, that only this spiritual experience better work for me. Because I tried every making money, falling in love, starting a family, exercising, workaholic, all of it. Didn't any of that work, you know. So you guys held out a carrot. I didn't know that I wanted the carrot, but I did know I wanted the gorilla to get off me. I didn't want the stick, you know. And so the carrot, okay, spiritual experience, I'm going to go for it because I know I didn't want the stick. The gorilla was breathing on my neck and I needed to get the gorilla off the block. And that's how I entered the third step, you know. And that third step, sometimes, you know, I don't know if it's a walk toward the light. For me, it was a run from the fire. I don't know if I was walking toward God, but like I say, I was running from the gorilla. And it don't matter, long as you're going in that direction. And I made a decision to turn my will and my life over. And I think the reason I'm sharing that is everything else rests on that. Third step is the pivot, and it's the thing, but everything else rests on this uh, uh, freedom from bondage of self. It's too much me. And that third step, you know, for any of our new friends, what it is, I don't turn my will and my life over in that place. A lot of people get confused and start thinking, I turn it over, I take it back. No, it's a promise to submit to the rest of the process. The rest of the process will turn over my will and my life. That's what I love about this process. I don't have to do anything but do the next indicated deal, and it'll do what it is that it does. And so the way that I knew that I had agreed wholeheartedly with this idea that, man, Ralph, you running your life ain't a good idea. You running your life gets you to 33 years old, wondering if they're going to ever have Christmas again. You running your life gets you at 33 years old with no driver's license and no address outside of your mama's. You running your life gets you to the point where you came from a major university and you no longer have the confidence to go sit in a job interview because you know that big gap is going to come up. You running your life has got you in the position where you don't have a key to no place that's your own. You don't know where your little girl is enrolled in school, and you don't know whether or not you're going to ever be a dad again, and you really wanted to be that. That's what you running your life has got you. And I was convinced that me running my life was not successful. And I dove because I'm a dive. I'm an all-in guy. You know, I incline to that. And that didn't come hard for me. And so I started writing. I started picking up pen and paper and I started doing that thing. And I looked at my resentments and I looked at my fears and I looked at my sex conduct. And I was with a group of people, you guys, that made it easy. I had started going through that blue book with some men and women in my mom's house in 1987. And we were going through it. And we were, some of the things that are not necessary. I don't think anything is wasted in God's world. Some things that are defects at one point are assets at another point. Sometimes this being competitive and looking at other people and trying to outdo them, that's a bad thing. But when we were sitting in that big book workshop for the first time, I'll be damned if I'm gonna let Ronnie do his fourth step and I haven't done mine. I'll be damned if Strange is gonna come up here and have to share the fifth step and I haven't shared the fifth step. Oh, hell no. He is not gonna be making amends and I didn't make amends already. And we had that kind of friendly pushing, man. And I'm a guy um, that found a place that felt like home when I landed with you guys. In our chapter, We Agnostics, when it talks about, this feeling we have for this power deep down inside, fundamental idea, it says sometimes it's like the feeling we have for a friend, and when I landed for real to stay and gave myself over to you and quit resisting and quit yeah button and quit I knowing and just wholeheartedly threw myself in, it felt like coming home, and I was sitting and we would do, and I did that fifth step, which was big for me because I'm a shame guy. I'm an image guy, and the flip side of that is a shame of what I think you think about me, because image seems important to me because there is no me. I'm all front and I'm all, no back. I'm not. There's no substance there, and so this 12-step process. Uh, has made me a man of substance. Um, I've walked around, my sponsor likes to say, a suit. And I've been a guy that dressed in suits going to work. Important for me to look good because, what I think you think about me. And what has happened, unbeknownst to me, and without the intention, because I've been very intentional about keeping the gorilla off the block. And the very things that it took to get the taste out my mouth, the very things that it took to get the taste out my mouth have been the very things that have made me, a grown man in my own life. And that was unexpected. Did a fifth step. That's I thought that would be a big, big, big deal for me because I'm a shame guy and I shared it. And I don't like looking, when it talks about God, ourselves, another. Well, if God is nebulous and I don't know about him, that's easy. But to look you in the eye, and it's not, I don't have a lot of big stuff because I'm not a hard guy. I'm not a tough guy. I'm not, but I got a lot of petty stuff and I got a lot of shameful stuff, right? I got a lot of that kind. And so uh, the fifth was big. And then 6 and 7, which a lot of people think, well, that's small. Well, that's the whole program. The reason it's only 2 paragraphs in our book is because our whole book is devoted to 6 and 7. What part of our book is not devoted to, being free of defects of character? You know, uh, Selfishness and self-centeredness. This we think is the root of our problems. Well, if everything stems from that, then the main character defects that we look at, selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear, all other defects kind of stem outside from those big ones, So that's but that's everything, you know. And the thing about 6 and 7, you guys, they don't happen right there either. So just like everything else in the program, how do you start dealing with those defects, Ralph? Well, start doing amends. Come out of that 6 and 7 step. After writing that fifth step, now I go see the people. Eye to eye, knee to knee. I go see the people. And when the people see me, they don't see the same guy that did whatever it is he's there to talk about. They see a different guy. They see the guy Bill Wilson saw when he opened the door for Abby Thatcher. They see the guy that might, that's at home. Somebody's there. There's a light in the attic, fresh face and glowing. That's why we put our best foot forward. I think that's why, generally speaking, we gonna make amends at that point. Because it's not just for us that we're doing the amends. and people will see something different. Now, if I go with this mumbled apology when I'm 36, now some of men's come visiting when you're 30 or 60. The IRS ain't waiting till you get to the ninth step. They may come see you wherever you are. Sometimes a person is on their deathbed when you're 30 days sober, and you may have to go talk to your sponsor about, do I need to go talk to mama right now? Yeah, you probably do. Those are exceptions. Um, Generally speaking, by the time we go to see those people, it's somebody else showing up. It's somebody else. That's why it talks about before we halfway through cleaning that stuff up, something happens. Something happens. Get a new address. Call it the realm of the spirit. Sometimes Bill calls it the fourth dimension. Get a new address. I'm a new person. And so then when I'm there, and I would think I'm floaty, because that's how I'm built. I got a new address. I'm a new person. I don't need to be doing this now. I need to be teaching this, right? Mhm. That's why when we get to the 10th step, it says, Ralph, you got some stuff to do. And here's what I want you to do when you get to the 10th step, because you're in the realm of the spirit. So now you got some new stuff going on. You got a new pair of glasses. Bill Wilson, the Chuck C talked about in his book. Later in the 11th step, he's going to call that intuitive thought. You are armed with something. I like to call it, when I get to from the 10th step, I'm working with power tools. So now I got my watcher turned on, and I'm looking for some stuff, because guess what? I don't care how much you write. I don't care, Ralph, how many resentments you inventory. I don't care how many fears you take a look at. I don't care what kind of ideal you come up with out of the sex conduct inventory. I don't care how much of that you're not gonna rise above human. You still gonna be you. You can sponsor a gang of people. You can write a bunch of fourths and fifths. You can listen to a bunch of fifths. You can do the best you can, asking God to take away this stuff that stands in the way of being used for the other people. You can go start cleaning stuff up. You can get real proud of yourself for doing that stuff. But guess what? If you have any problems with whether or not you still human, I think Leslie is on this call right now. Ask her. Ask her if any of y'all 12 steppers, sponsors, gurus, and the rest have any problems with defects of character and have any problem. Ask your kids. Go find your spouse. I'm just guessing. I ain't trying to throw rocks at anybody. So what does that mean? That means this program, this design for living, it's designed for people, not automatons, not robots. What it does is it throws people back into the stream of life. And being a person in life is scary, because even though I've done all this stuff, I still got that big fear. If you really know me, you won't like me. Because, yeah, Kevin says some nice stuff about Ralph, but Ralph, when he gets his feelings hurt, he still pouts. Ralph, when he still gets cross, sometimes he still gets. So what does he do with that? Well, he's armed with some stuff now, and he's got a new calling on it. So the first thing he does is he watches for it, because he knows what's in it. I'm 69 years old. I've been doing this with you guys 36 years, but I've been being with me 69 years. And there's some stuff in me that's in me. And now that I'm working with these spiritual tools, now I'm working with power tools. It's some things I do. And the first thing I do is I don't get carried away with myself. So I got sense enough. Dude, watch. What you watching for, Ralph? Same stuff you wrote about. Resentments, fears, dishonesty, and so I'm watching. And when they crop up, these resentments, these fears, dishonesty, I'm watching. And when they crop up, I do something. God damn it, you tripping. You know what? I fell into the delusion. I was listening to somebody do a talk on the 10th step. And I remember listening to them and thinking, because they were saying, well, when it says Wendy's crop up, that mean every day look because it's going always. And I'll be like, some days it don't, because some days I don't leave the house, right? I'll just be in the house. I do work. I'm self-employed. I might not even literally, especially in COVID, literally, I might not leave the house. And it hit me. I don't have to leave the house for fear to come calling. I don't have to leave the house for selfishness to come calling. They're companions. I don't have to leave the house for dishonesty, to come creeping. Because and then they're companions the other day. So that's the first thing I do. I watch. And then the second thing I should do, you guys, is ask God when this stuff come up to remove them out. I'm not always that good at that, but I'll be watching. So the other day, I'm in the house and I don't have a lot going on. I got one deal that I'm working on, and this was a particularly slow day, and I got more going out than coming in, and I'm 69, and it creeps. 69 years old, you ain't got a lot of money put away. You're 69 years old, you don't have no 401k. What's gonna happen, down the road and whenever, and I don't take issue with the book, right? And Bill says resentment is the number one offender. What drives my bus is fear. Uh, that one seems to cause me more um, problems and trouble. I don't get sideways a lot these days. And when we get to resentment inventory, a year or two ago, I had 6 people, because I hadn't been tinning. I hadn't been looking at it in the moment, and they had come up. And that was a lot for me. And those 6 people, 5 of them all came from one deal, one sideways transaction I was involved in, and it got ugly. And so, but generally, I don't, but fear, I've had it ambush me over the last year a couple of times. One time it really came in. But this week, fear was there. What happens when fear comes? Well, guess what? Resentment doesn't always follow on its heels because it didn't happen this time, but dishonesty or selfishness comes when fear comes. Because when I was in the fear, and it's a couple of people, I hope that they ain't the ones. When I was in the fear, it's a couple of sponsee calls I didn't take. Don't feel like it, Damn, I know, Kev. I got a, this pedestal I'm on. I'm tumbling and telling, but I ain't taking the call. You know what I'm saying? And I know don't no other sponsors do that. But I was ready. And for those who and I don't incline toward depression, thank God. You know, if I go there, I'll go briefly and not stay. Um, but that's the other side of selfishness too, because that's extreme self-centeredness. That's extreme. I'm focusing only on me, and that self-pity will come in. But the dishonesty, not only is it selfish, and then it's dishonest. Dude, you claim that you claim you'll do anything. Who is it that you want to be? And dishonesty now takes on a lot of different layers for me too. Who do I say that I am? When I look at myself in the mirror, I want to let somebody know. I think Chris is on it. I got a couple other people on here, and I try to let them know you can call me and I'm going to always be there. Well, that ain't always true, and that's going to bleed into this 11th step we're going to talk about. So I'm watching for that, you guys, and I realized it when I'm spiraling because uh, the good news is it doesn't happen often. The better news, because it ain't no bad news. You guys hear me? Ain't no bad news. Only thing that's going on is lessons and blessings. For those of you that go into morbid reflection, for those of you who go to putting your foot up your own, no, ain't no bad news. Ain't no bad news. Because here's the better news about me going to that place. That's the place I go and I get compassion. That's the place that I go and I get my feet firmly planted on the ground. That's the place that I go that keeps Ralph White from reading his own press clippings. That's the place that I go that keeps me firmly grounded with, when Chris talks to me, when Dave talks to me, when any people want to holler at me, it allows me to be able to hear, because I'm the kind of person, all the people that know me know I got a couple of things that work with me. One is, if it ain't my experience, you lying about it being yours. Two, my experience is the experience. Thank God that I get enough knockdowns and I get enough fall downs and I get enough knee scrapes and I get enough of those, that it makes me what we find in our 10th step. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. Our next function is not to grow in knowledge and information. I like to think that. I like to think that because I don't know, this is a new place. This business of growth and effectiveness. Normally, because I'm a competitive guy. And I like, so when you're a competitive person, or when you're in life, or when you have measuring sticks, or when you're a goal setter, or when you're an achiever, all those things are, a lot of those are good things. The downside of that is you use the markers, and markers in the material world usually come in the form of more, better, bigger, more zeros in the bank account. When you're a kid, you want to be taller, you want to be bigger, you want to be better. So that's what it looks like in the material world. You want to know more, you want to be smarter. With a good motive, it'll feel like that's what I'm trying to do in this thing too. I'm trying to master these steps. I'm trying to master Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm trying to be more knowledgeable and informed on what the book says. you know uh, don't let learning get in the way of seeking. Don't let learning get in the way of seeking. They're two different things. When I learn all this, now I start teaching and I stop seeking, because I'm learning so I can teach. I'm learning so most of my conversation with you guys will then be when I meet with sponsees, when I tell sponsees, and I ignore the fact that, no, I got an ass on gown up in this emergency room too. you know. And I just think that when I do enough and I've been around enough, that my ass out gown turns into a doctor's spot. And I start thinking that I'm up in here dispensing, no, 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 no. You a patient up in this piece too. You in the emergency room. You're a little further down the road. So when I work with the people that I work with shoulder to shoulder, I just show them the paddle. So that thing, so the first thing you guys don't that we talk about in that 10th step, and I hate to get mechanical, but I don't know. I just feel like talking about that 10th step, especially for people who might be new. What is it that we do and why do we do it? Because it's a lifestyle. It's the AA way of life. So I've done all this stuff and I've inventoried and I've started making amends. So how does Ralph White live his life then? Then I started looking. I turned my watcher on. Remember, I'm working with power tools. So when these things come up, I don't have to write a long inventory. A lot of people do write 10 steps. Our sponsees call me with them. And a lot of times, they're doing 11-step nightly review, but don't worry about that. But in the moment, so since I'm working with power tools, it was a lot of heavy lifting in that first inventory, wasn't it? A lot of sitting down, thinking about it. I gotta write these resentments. But when you're working now and it becomes a working part of your life, you just process a resentment like that. Oh shit, Kevin, oh man, it pissed me off. He looked at me crazy, didn't pay me. Okay. Uh, Damn, that affected my self-esteem. He said something crazy about me. If he'd have respected me, he wouldn't have never talked down about me. Affected my pride. Some other people heard him and they think that too. Affected my personal. I ain't even gonna fool with him no more. It affected, my ambition. I want to be respected. I want to be liked. I want to be this guy. And so I go through it really fast in my head. Okay, Ralph, what about, no, you know, was it fancy? I don't know what Kevin was thinking. I sit up here. Was it, it was selfish because I want him to say things and frame them in the way that I need him to frame them about me. He entitled to his own opinion. You know what I do? I want you to adopt your opinion of you over I want you to adopt my opinion of you over your own opinion of you. If I think you stupid, you supposed to adopt that. How you gonna run around here not knowing that you full of, I know I'm the only person like that. Somebody up at the podium, I want them to know, don't you know how stupid you sounded? And they sitting up here, that's me, But I'll go through it really fast. What's my fear? Fear of being exposed, fear of being humiliated, fear of being hurt, fear that you won't like me, fear of being punked, fear of being, and I'll go through them really quick, working with power tools now. And working with power. But usually I won't go through it like that. So I ask God to remove it. I don't do that. But this time the other day when I was in this fear, you guys, uh, I didn't call my sponsor immediately. And that's the thing about the way I live my life. This is Ralph. This isn't how you should be. Many people, when they do the 10 step, have a go-to. Many of my sponsees call me immediately. I will call Bob. My sponsor is Bob. He out of St. Paul, Minnesota. But I got some other closed mouth friends, and I got some associates, and I got a partner. I got a mate. So Leslie didn't know she was getting the 10 step, but that's what she was getting. And it's really big for a guy like me to undress like that and to have somebody I feel safe enough in to do that. And so she heard it, I'm scared. I got a medical diagnosis. I got to have a biopsy. I didn't get a diagnosis. I got a test schedule, and so the thing about when you live in life, guys, when Ralph is living life, when I get too far off the reservation and when I'm rolling by myself, this is the kind of stuff that can come, which is why I got to watch. I told you at the outset that I used to think, or I have a tendency to think, if I'm by myself, I don't need to watch as close. I'm by myself. I'm not interacting with people. Fear came calling. When it came calling, its brothers came with it. Selfishness, dishonesty. Resentment didn't come that day, but could have. I discussed it with somebody. I didn't need to make amends for anything. Thank God I hadn't said something stupid to nobody, hadn't really tripped up anybody. And then here's the thing, you guys. This is our key for everything. Find somebody. Find somebody to help. When we do sex conduct inventory, what will happen in 10 and 11, we'll keep getting bounced back to other stuff because what this is a life, is the way I live my life. I don't know that. I don't know when I'm wax on, wax off. What I'm really doing is designing a way that's going to give me, like I said, what it's going to do coming out the back end 36 years later. What it's going to produce is a grown ass man speaking in his own voice, walking his own walk, and not scared of nobody on here. I don't know that's what it's designed to do. I just come in here wanting to get the gorilla off the block. That's all I want to do. I don't know that what it's going to produce is a real dad to a real somebody. I don't know that's what's happening. And so it says, okay, now turn your attention to somebody. And what works best, you guys, I have default settings because I don't put nothing past me. And I'm not this floaty guy. My default setting is sponsorship. My default setting is fellowship. So when it's time to turn my attention to somebody I could help, I don't have to look far. I don't have to go far. I'm already knee deep. In fact, I don't have to look at all because my phone's going to ring. Oh, what a life. What a life. I didn't know that. So now I'm doing this. And then it talks about, there are some promises from doing this kind of life. New friends. There are some things that are going to come your way if you do what we do. You ain't got to do it how we do it. You ain't got to be. Here's the thing about, here's the trap door when you hear a guy like me say, do what we do. You hear a guy like me and you think that means be out here on Zoom platforms, be really eloquent, be, be Kevin, be all these people that I see. No, it don't mean that. It mean be you right where you are. You ain't gotta be deep. You ain't gotta be sharp. You ain't gotta be super insightful. You ain't gotta be none of that. You just gotta be willing. You just gotta be willing. Really. Sometimes when you hear some of the people that talk, it'll give the impression that, damn, if I could put it down like that. No, we just talking about this, man. God is giving people gifts. Find yours. Your gift might be, I'm not one that says, that Alcoholics Anonymous don't need you. You need Alcoholics Anonymous. I'll say that, but take it in context. If you're new, if you cocky, if you the I know guy like Ralph White, if you the yeah but guy like me, Alcoholics Anonymous don't need, you need Alcoholics Anonymous. But Karen and Sherry and Leslie and Tank, if you sitting in here right now, there's a calling for you. You might be the only person that somebody can hear your story. You might be the only person. See, God ain't gonna walk, to my knowledge. Don't let me say nothing because God might do something. To my knowledge, he ain't gonna drop and walk in any of our meetings, but he gonna walk in every one of our meetings. And he gonna be disguised as Karen. He gonna be disguised as Kevin. He gonna be disguised as Leslie. I'm gonna miss his voice because he gonna sound like Sherry. I'm gonna miss it. How do I know that's gonna happen? Because when each and every one of you, when you sit with your people, I guarantee you it's something that's come out of your mouth that you didn't know was up in there till it came out. And it only happens when we get together. When I'm by myself, that kind of stuff don't come out of my mouth. It don't come out of my thinking. So some remarkable things happen, new friends, when I embark on this way of life. When I start looking at myself consistently, when I figure, when I get the fundamentals of how to look, that's what we get in inventory. That's what we get in our fourth step, the fundamentals of looking. And so when I refine that, and I start doing it as a way of life in this, and I just do it and do it and do it and do it and do it. It's like you cigarette smokers. When you first started, you might have been coughing in the rest. Y'all be letting a cigarette hang out your mouth, and ash be going this. I'll be like, how was it? You've been doing it forever, or drinkers. Been doing it forever. Drivers. When you a kid, you be tending to. When you be driving, talking. Women be putting makeup on. That's 10 step. That's what this way of life is. At first, be leaning a lot on the book, be sharing a lot on the book. I get it. But when you've been doing this long, I didn't know it, you guys, but I'm committed to this way of life. I signed up. And I dove in. And it's been the way that I live my life. And as a result of that, I have a different attitude toward liquor. That's a remarkable promise. One of the 10-step promises. It talks about a different attitude, our new attitude toward liquor, my new attitude toward getting loaded. When I was living in the dorms, UCLA, I'm 19, 20, 21 years old. I'm going out to the speakeasy every night. I'm partying every night. I used to think, if I ever get old enough that I don't go out both Friday and Saturday, shoot me. I could see not going out either Friday or Saturday, but both days, both nights, every weekend, just shoot me. I'm done. I used to say that. My anthem, I'ma get high. That was this new attitude toward, it's been given me through I don't think about it. I don't wake up thinking about not getting loaded. I don't think about, here's the promise that I love. It just comes. What? It just comes by not thinking about it. But it just comes by doing what? Looking at yourself, inventorying your resentments, looking at your fears, looking at your sex conduct, going to God and saying, God, do something with your boy. I can't do nothing with it. Going to them people, cleaning up your messes, so, ain't looking at this whole getting loaded. And all of a sudden, the taste is out my mouth. And not only is the taste out my mouth, I like this new me. Really amazing. So then what do you do after that, Ralph? Well, since we disciplining you in a way that you can't discipline yourself, these are some disciplines that are being imposed just by doing what we do, because you don't like that word. No, I don't like that word. I don't like that word being disciplined. It still feel like getting a whooping or something. So I don't like that word. Okay, then just do what we do. We'll tell you what effectively is taking place. Okay, all right. I'm gonna do the stuff. Later on, I'm gonna say, oh, that was disciplining me. All right, I'm okay. So now, guess what? If you Ralph and you go through your day, every day, you ain't that good on always admitting when you stepped on somebody's toes. Matter of fact, you know it, but they had it coming. I ain't saying nothing to them right now. I ain't calling Bob about it. I ain't calling nobody. I'm doing a lot of this because Les is on here, and so much of our life we get to see it, and we say that's exactly. She was going through something a couple of months ago, and just was, oh, hell no, I ain't gonna come out of this. I ain't the rap. Don't say nothing to me. Don't talk about praying. Don't give me. You know, can't refuse. The book, the 12 and 12 talks about being seized with a rebellion. Sometimes, so what do we do with that, Ralph? This idea that you're going through your day, this is how you live, right? Just how you've been living for 36 years. Yeah. So I go through my day and I look, well, what if I miss something? At night, best case, I call it a double lint trap. You should catch it in the day. But if you don't catch it, then at night, this is why the nightly review is different. Some people would call that the tip. No, we talk about being step 11. I don't trip off of it. The numbers fall off. I don't care what you call it. Just do it. People argue about, is that a 10 step? Is that 11? And they ain't doing it either way. Just do it. Just do it. So at night, well, why would the nightly review not start that morning? Because here's the way. Oh, I love the simplicity of this, and I love this, the design for living. You know, so if you go through your day, and then at the end of it, you do the same thing it talked about in that 4th step. Damn, where was I resentful today? Where was it? Because you might miss it. Because you get busy. I get busy sometimes. I got a busy life. I got a big life. People are at different points, and it changes where you are in your life. Sometimes I just get intransigent. Sometimes I just ain't going to. But sometimes I'm busy. So at the end of the night, where was I resentful? Same question. Resentful, selfish, dishonest, afraid. You know, okay. Do I owe somebody an apology? Did I miss it in the 10th step? Yeah. Do I owe somebody? Should I discuss this with somebody? Are you holding on to it? Dude, you know you. If you go around and keep holding on, there's some of the stuff that we say that is trite cliches, they trite cliches that they're true. Sick is your secrets. You're a secret keeper, Ralph. That stuff will fester. Then you start, when it fester too long, you'll start justifying. You'll start endorsing it. You'll start ratifying your own behavior. So have you held something? Should you have discussed something? And then just like in the sex conduct inventory, that 9th question in the sex conduct inventory is, what should I have done instead? When I'm reviewing my night, at the end of my night, I said, what could I have done better? I could have not I could have not hit sin on that text. That's why in the 11th step later on in it, it talks about pause while agitated. That's when the 10 and the 11, that's when your life is just merging. The numbers fall off. You just living your life. That's 10 and 11 together. In the 11th step, it say pause when agitated. In the 10th step, it say you watching during the day. So you watching for agitation. And guess what, you guys? If you're worried about how am I going to ask God to remove these defects of character, 9, 10, 11. When I'm in 10, hold your tongue. You know that's a defect of yours, checking somebody, having the last word, needing to be right, having strong opinions. You know, it's amazing how the synchronicity of this process, the stuff that's when 6 and 7 they come alive in 10 and 11, you know. And so I'm looking at 10 and was I just thinking of me most of the day, you know, and generally speaking, a good measure, or was I thinking of myself most of the day? At the end of the day, am I feeling uh, anxious? Am I feeling depressed? Am I in self-pity? Am I scared? So those are good benchmarks. I have a bright line that I use when I'm in that 10 and 11. What side of the line are you on, Ralph? Are you trying? It's the St. Francis prayer coming out of you. Have you most of the day been trying to be loved, comforted, and understood? Why they tripping? They know I didn't mean it that way. Or are you trying to love, comfort, and understand? My sponsees will tell you that's our bright light. That's a bright line. What side of that line am I on most of the time? Are you trying to be loved, comfort, and understood? Or are you trying to love, comfort, and understand? You know, and that at the end of that nightly review. And so at the end of the nightly review, I'm running out of time and I'm gonna have to wrap it up. But at the end of that nightly review, you guys, the reason I believe that it's at night is I leave Monday in Monday. The whole purpose of what it is we do, the whole benefit of this walking on the sunny side of the street. You will never be on the sunny side of the street unless you're in the now, right now. Is it all right right now? The future always looks cloudy. Future looks very cloudy. And sometimes when I look back over my shoulder, and if I'm in, the book calls it morbid reflection, so does my past. You know, but the reason we do 10 and 11 is to shine light, is to shine light, not to be, you know, is to shine light. And I'm gonna do that best in the moment. Is it all right right now? So when I leave Tuesday, when I get up, because I look at my day, all right, okay, we're gonna close the door. We ain't gonna trip. Damn, I shouldn't have called Chris a bit. I should have went, okay, what could I have done better? A, you could have kept your mouth closed. B, not only could you not hit send, you didn't even have to compose the text. We're gonna work on, you know, getting, and that's what this practice, the continual practice does, you guys. It is a way of life, you know, that imposes some stuff on me that I couldn't have done myself. You know, I could not have done this myself. And coming out the back end of it, like I told you, is a guy I didn't know. Is a guy I didn't know. Is a guy I thought I knew. Is a guy I would have liked to. I don't even know if I would have wanted everything that it is that I have. You know, I fall down still. I scrape. You know, I bruise. I do stupid things. I say stupid things. You know, but over my 36 years, one of the reasons I'm here with you, it's one of my favorite words in our book. I persist. I'm not always good at being the one on that bright line when I told you. I'm not always the best at loving, understanding, and comforting, but I persist. Our book says, and if you persist, all sorts of remarkable things will happen, no matter what your present circle. I have persisted for 36 years. And I believe, you know, uh, for anybody that's on the platform right now, you got that in you. You ain't got to be bright. You ain't gotta be smart. You ain't gotta have a lot of money. You ain't gotta be handsome. You ain't gotta be cute. You ain't gotta be none of that. Just gotta be willing and persist. And all sorts of remarkable things that happen for you too. My name is Ralph White, and I am an alcoholic.